just spoke to our great General Mattis just now, who reconfirmed that, and I quote, "Ryan was a part of a highly successful raid that generated large amounts of vital intelligence that will lead to many more victories in the future against our enemy." Ryan's legacy is etched into eternity. Thank you. Ryan is looking down right now, you know that, and he's very happy because I think he just broke a record. As the Bible teaches us, there is no greater act of love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. Ryan laid down his life for his friends, for his country, and for our freedom. And we will never forget Ryan. To those allies who wonder what kind of a friend America will be, look no further than the heroes who wear our uniform. Our foreign policy calls for direct, robust, and meaningful engagement with the world. It is American leadership based on vital security interests that we share with our allies all across the globe. We strongly support NATO, an alliance forged through the bonds of 2 world wars that dethroned fascism and the Cold War and defeated communism. But our partners must meet their financial obligations. And now, based on our very strong and frank discussions, they are beginning to do just that. In fact, I can tell you the money is pouring in. Very nice. We expect our partners, whether in NATO, the Middle East, or the Pacific, to take a direct and meaningful role in both strategic and military operations and pay their fair share of the cost, have to do that. We will respect historic institutions, but we will respect the foreign rights of all nations, and they have to respect our rights as a nation also. Free nations are the best vehicle for expressing the will of the people, and America respects the right of all nations to chart their own path. My job is not to represent the world. My job is to represent the United States of America. But we know that America is better off when there is less conflict, not more. We must learn from the mistakes of the past. We have seen the war and the destruction that have ravaged and raged throughout the world, all across the world. The only long-term solution for these humanitarian disasters, in many cases, is to create the conditions where displaced persons can safely return home and begin the long, long process of rebuilding. America is willing to find new friends and to forge new partnerships where shared interests align. We want harmony and stability, not war and conflict. We want peace wherever peace can be found. America is friends today with former enemies. Some of our closest allies decades ago fought on the opposite side of these terrible, terrible wars. This history should give us all faith in the possibilities for a better world. Hopefully, the 250th year for America will see a world that is more peaceful, more just, and more free. On our 100th anniversary in 1876, citizens from across our nation came to Philadelphia to celebrate America's centennial. At that celebration, the country's builders and artists and inventors showed off their wonderful creations. Alexander Graham Bell displayed his telephone for the first time. Remington unveiled the first typewriter. An early attempt was made at electric light. Thomas Edison showed an automatic telegraph and an electric pen. Imagine the wonders our country could know in America's 250th year. Think of the marvels we can achieve if we simply set free the dreams of our people. Cures to the illnesses that have always plagued us are not too much to hope. American footprints on distant worlds are not too big a dream. Millions lifted from welfare to work is not too much to expect. And streets where mothers are safe from fear, schools where children learn in peace, and jobs where Americans prosper and grow are not too much to ask. When we have all of this, we will have made America greater than ever before. For all Americans, this is our vision. This is our mission. But we can only get there together. We are one people with one destiny. We all bleed the same blood. We all salute the same great American flag. And we all are made by the same God. When we fulfill this vision, when we celebrate our 250 years of glorious freedom, we will look back on tonight as when this new chapter of American greatness began. The time for small thinking is over. The time for trivial fights is behind us. We just need the courage to share the dreams that fill our hearts, the bravery to express the hopes that stir our souls, and the confidence to turn those hopes and those dreams into action. From now on, America will be empowered by our aspirations, not burdened by our fears. Inspired by the future, not bound by failures of the past. And guided by a vision, not blinded by our doubts. I am asking all citizens to embrace this renewal of the American spirit. I am asking all members of Congress to join me in dreaming big and bold and daring things for our country. I am asking everyone watching tonight to seize this moment, believe in yourselves, believe in your future, and believe once more in America. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States.
And that concludes President Trump's address to a joint session of Congress, his first address to a joint session. Coming up in just a few minutes will be the Democrats' response.
So while we're waiting for this transition, since it's been a long speech, I think that we're going to go to the socialist response in just a minute, as soon as I pull over the backdrop for Facebook Live.
Totally.
Ah, there it is.
Sisters and brothers, greetings to those of you who are here with me tonight, and also the hundreds who are watching on live stream and Facebook Live. I'm happy that we are here together. In just 5 weeks, Donald Trump has unleashed a series of vicious attacks on one group of Americans after another. From his Muslim ban to the ramping up of ICE raids, to his anti-trans executive order, to his budget proposal to slash vital public services. Now the ruling class is sharply divided about Trump. Capitalist strategists are horrified by the growing popular revolt and the damage his reckless policies and conduct will inflict on their system. And yet much of big business is salivating at the prospect of Trump's corporate tax cuts and radical deregulation. But amongst millions of working people like us, there is a growing unity that we want no part of Trump's bigoted, misogynist, anti-immigrant, racist agenda. Yeah. We're seeing a mood of rebellion on a scale not seen since the Vietnam War. Trump can be defeated. The protests in this very first month were a tremendous starting point, but far more will be needed. We need to disrupt business as usual through peaceful, mass civil disobedience, shutting down airports, highways, ICE offices, and prominent businesses. On March 8th, International Women's Day, a women's strike has been called by the organizers of the January 21st marches. Let's take this up and build for the largest actions possible on March 8th. May 1st, or May Day, is International Workers' Day and has long been a day of working class action globally. In 2006, immigrants brought the tradition of May Day back to the United States. Millions marched and many went on strike and helped force back egregious anti-immigrant legislation. And this year, facing Trump's brutal attacks, immigrants are again organizing en masse. Discussions are also underway about strike and protest action in the labor movement, which is facing unprecedented attacks with national right-to-work laws coming down the pipe. Working people have enormous potential power to fight Trump by shutting down the profits of big business. And this can be done through traditional strikes by the majority of workers at a workplace, but also by many non-union workers through taking the day off, calling in sick, or through other creative means. Bottom line, we want the largest show of force on May 1st while keeping in mind that some actions would be too risky for some workers to participate in. To be successful, however, we cannot limit our movement to purely playing defense against Trump. We need to also fight offensively for concrete gains that will inspire the broader working and middle class. We must not only oppose, for example, the attacks on women's rights and Planned Parenthood, but also fight to extend reproductive care for it to be free and accessible to all women. For paid family leave and for affordable child care and for a national $15 minimum wage. Call for nationwide protests to defend the positive aspects of Obamacare and to demand Medicare for all, a universal single-payer healthcare system. Yeah. This approach offers a real potential to undermine Trump's own base, but the problem is most of the Democratic Party leadership completely rejects this idea because of their ties to insurance industry and big pharma. Yes. We just heard Donald Trump say healthcare is complicated, but we have a simple solution. Many Democratic governors, including Governor Inslee in Washington State, have been denouncing Trump's attacks on the Affordable Care Act. But why don't these Democratic governors immediately move to implement single-payer systems in their own states? California is already discussing such a plan. Our own state of Washington, along with Oregon, could come together in this effort. Along this blue West Coast, we can develop a joint single-payer alternative to the dysfunctional private health insurance system. And to most effectively fight the right, we need an opposition party that is 100% against Trump and the billionaire class. That's right. Yeah. A party that helps organize mass movements from below. The Democratic Party leadership is completely opposed to such an approach, as we saw yet again this past weekend through their DNC chair election. While the Democratic establishment has stood against Trump, their opposition has been unreliable and far from sufficient. To the extent that the Democrats have opposed Trump, it has been grassroots pressure that has dragged them into it. This is due to their multifaceted links to big business, their pro-capitalist program, their conservative outlook. Tens of thousands of people, primarily young people, are joining socialist organizations like Socialist Alternative, but particularly the Democratic Socialists of America. We need to build this emerging socialist movement towards a new socialist party. It is very clear there is a space for such a force of 50,000 members to develop rapidly. Such a new left party can be a forerunner to a mass workers' party at a later stage. This new left party will need to work alongside the larger number of anti-corporate workers and youth who are still looking towards progressive Democrats in their fight against the corporate establishment. We need to work together. But if democratic activists do not succeed in fundamentally transforming the Democratic Party, and I do not believe that they will succeed in that mission, they should draw all the necessary conclusions and leave the Democratic Party and work to build a new mass party. Because sisters and brothers, we know this is not only about Trump. It is this predatory system of capitalism in decline and in crisis that has given rise to Trumpism. Oxfam recently reported that 8 people now own more wealth than half the world's population. This is the reality of the failed system of capitalism. We need fundamental change. We need an overturning of the capitalist oligarchy through a political, economic, and social revolution which puts the power in the hands of the overwhelming majority, the workers, the youth, and all those marginalized by this oppressive system. Sisters and brothers, the wealth of these 8 richest billionaires, and I just heard Bill Gates is on his way to become the world's first trillionaire. The wealth of these 8 richest billionaires needs to be confiscated and democratically allocated for the needs of the majority. Wall Street and the big fossil fuel companies represent an existential threat to the future of humanity and our environment. And you just heard Trump extol, the Dakota Access Pipeline, the Keystone Access Pipeline. He's boasting about it. These fossil fuel companies also must be brought into democratic public ownership and their resources deployed for socially necessary production, including a massive expansion of renewable energy. Sisters and brothers, let's take the energy that has been building against Trump within the first month of his presidency. Let's take this energy to build the largest possible action next week for the March 8th International Women's Day, rallies throughout this nation, including here in Seattle. And let's use March 8th as a springboard to build the largest possible actions on May 1st, with strike actions and every other creative idea that we can use in order for workers throughout America, young people, students on campuses, to show that they are absolutely feeling the urgency to disrupt business as usual. That's right. And let us tie our message for massive actions to the call for solidarity among the 99%, based on a movement that runs on what is needed for us to fight Trump and not what is acceptable to corporate Democrats. Let us tie our struggle also to the idea of socialism itself, because socialism is not only possible, but is necessary. Our fight is not only against Trump and the right wing, but for a different kind of society, for a world based on equality, democracy, and environmental sustainability. In other words, a socialist world.
So since we are here and we have the room, and I'm so glad that you were here to watch Trump speak with us, because it would be miserable to watch that on the road. Let's take some time to discuss amongst ourselves, building the path. Thank you all for being here.
So we have the room pretty much now. The Socialist Alternative meeting is over, but the people are not leaving. We're gonna stay a little bit and have a few chats around the room and see what everyone's got to say about future events, upcoming events, things that should or need to be said. Hopefully I can hand out a couple business cards too. But Sawants' speech was beautiful. I will be posting it up on YouTube momentarily. If you have not gotten it on my live feed, please go to Two Spirit Independent Media, all one word, on Facebook, or m-me, Two Spirit Independent Media at facebook.com. So go ahead and check out our page. We have a main page now. We also have a YouTube and a live feed page. So please check us out. Two Spirit Independent, or Independent Two Spirit Media. Blessings. Have a great day, y'all.